Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to Board Games Unlocked, and we are doing a no-run-through review, and it's a double whammy for Viscounts of the West Kingdom, the 2 expansions that were just released, Keeper of Keys and Gates of Gold.
Yep.
So, let me start this off by saying, and we do a no-run-through review, not because these are bad expansions, just because there's no reason to redo a run-through that I've already done.
Right.
I used to do that. I don't know if I ever told. I used to redo a whole run-through every time an expansion came out. Yeah, no, nobody has time for that. But I can say, let me preface this whole review by saying I think both of these expansions are good.
Yep.
Do not play them together.
Nope.
Like, I could, please, unless you are just doing what we did and was just testing out what the expansion brought to the game, I implore you, do not combine them.
Right.
Not because it doesn't muddy the game.
Nope,
I don't
it
think.
doesn't.
Both of these expansions are very clean in what they add, and it doesn't really, unlike what Paladins, that expansion did, that kind of changed the game.
It did.
This enhanced, both these expansions I think enhanced the game. It was still Viscounts through and through.
Right.
But the reason why is because at a certain point, and this was actually a pretty cool thing though, at a certain point, one, the game ran probably an hour and a half longer.
Yep.
And in both players, this would have been the same no matter how many number of players, we could do whatever we wanted.
At any time.
At any time. If you were going a certain strategy, like your strategy ended up being, like you had every resource imaginable.
Yep.
You're just like, oh, I'm just going to go down there. I have 18 bags. I'm going to get all this money. I'm going to get all these resources. Now I'm going to go down there and drop all my people.
I mean, so these were supposed to be semi-hard buildings to get. And I not only dropped them off, because one of the things that was negative that they even specified was you lose your bonus from the old building. I was like, I don't care because it costs X, but I have so much resources. I'll build this for the 15 points, and the next turn, drop it again to basically get my 8 points back.
Yeah. I didn't even see you do that. Honestly, I quit paying attention.
4 turns.
I quit paying attention to what you were doing because,
it didn't matter.
You had so many resources. I had 2 cards.
Right.
I had the one about manuscripts, which ended up being my strategy, and then I had the one about getting the outsiders.
Visitors.
Yeah, the visitors. And you had literally everything else.
Right.
And to put it into perspective, your best game of this, and you've played this way more than I have, I would assume, was 130?
138.
138. You got how much?
230.
230. I got 297.
Right.
That is ridiculous. And it was all just because I have a complete set of 5 manuscripts.
Which is times 16 points. So 5 times 16. I mean, you're talking crazy points. I mean, I've played a lot of 2-players. This is my wife's favorite game right now. So we play on a very regular basis, just the base game. I have never once even gotten close to emptying an entire manuscript pile. And we did 2.
We did 2 full piles.
Almost
3.
A third
one. And the only reason that more weren't empty was because it wasn't colors I needed.
Right.
At a certain point, I was just grabbing them because I 100% thought that you were going to blow me out of the water. I knew you had resources. I knew you had that. I knew you had buildings. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to keep getting manuscripts and those people and just hope that I can just get the points. So, that being said, just don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
It's not worth it.
If it didn't lengthen the game, then I'd say fine.
Yeah.
But the fact that you were just going through the motions of because also our strategies weren't built around the debt or the deeds.
No.
So you and I were both struggling to draw them
and end the game at some point.
Yeah, and there was multiple times where I was just like, dude, you just want to call it. Like,
I almost said the same thing, like halfway through, like when we were kind of like, wow, you're just grabbing that, and I'm just putting out 5 people, and I don't even have to spend a gold ever. And it's like, I almost was like, do you just want to call and not even score at this point? Like,
I was thinking the same thing.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah, it really doesn't. That score is just not even...
And again, they're good expansions.
Yes.
So one of the things that Viscounts as a base game does well, but a lot of people can struggle with it, is you are not rich almost ever.
I do remember that, yeah.
They added a lot more power cards. Like, and so people would fight, like, so I got one just on the random chance that was a 3-bag guy. A 2-move 3-bag guy.
Yeah, my starting hero was a 3-bag.
Right. So, the Peddler. I will actively, like, abandon whatever I'm doing to go rush to try to get this, to buy it, because for 3 bags, it's such a great bonus in the regular base game.
Right.
Here, we ignored it for like 10 turns.
Yeah.
Because it didn't matter.
There came a point whenever you were putting people on that I was like, can I just go?
Right.
Like, I don't need to see what you're going to do because I'm going to be doing the same thing. Like, literally, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I was actually trying to finish out deeds.
I know you were trying to. That's why I was pushing the other one.
I was looking over and I was like, okay, I definitely have him on
yeah, you had me
debts.
on debts.
But I was like, I think I can math it out and finish out the finished things and at least tie it. And actually, it worked out because of the welcome guy I got at the end of the game. I got to flip it over, so it tied it. Not that it fucking mattered, but yeah, I had 10 deeds.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 7 of those.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that out of the way, which one do you want to talk about first?
So let's talk about the Gates of Gold.
Okay, so the Gates of Gold expansion.
Yep.
Just the rule book. I'm just gonna just make sure that we talk about what
the right ones.
And for the record, also with that being with the don't add them together, I'm gonna go ahead and say I think get both of these expansions.
Yeah, they're both
Like,
great.
I think they're both really good.
Yep.
Just pick which one that you're gonna play with. So, one, the Gates of Gold came with a manuscript,
which is nice.
which is very nice. It keeps it all organized. It also opens up new free actions
Yes.
that at any time. So as long as you have a manuscript under it, you unlock the ability. You start off with the one that lets you buy these King's Order cards. And this kind of goes hand in hand. So you have King's Order cards. These are all the same. But they serve 2 purposes. One, whenever it falls off your track, you can then... It goes back to the King's Order pile. And you can get a visitor...
For free.
What do you call them? Outsiders.
Oh, the outsiders,
You get an outsider for free. And the outsiders are really good. They're more power people that you can get. Like this one is a 3-bag, this one's a fleur-de-lis and a bag. But they're all for endgame scoring.
Yep.
That I really like. That is probably my favorite thing out of both of these expansions.
Yep, I would
because
agree.
it reminds me of the Paladins, where you got to, if you converted, then you got endgame victory points.
Agreed.
It enhances strategy. Like all the ones I got were manuscript based. Like
pretty much.
Literally, to be fair, these are all enhanced because of just the gross combos we had.
Right.
But I had 2 of them that were extra points per gray and yellow manuscripts, and then I had one that was 3 points per completed set, and I had 5 sets, so that was another 15 points that I got. But still, like, these are really, really cool, and some of them aren't even for points. One I got was just for, hey, it's a rogue, flip a debt or a deed at the end, which ended up working.
Right.
But with the King's Order, if you have it in your hand and you use an ability that lets you trash a card, it goes back to the pile and you can reject outsiders, and that gives you another thing similar to when you kill the invaders and paladins.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, oh, hey, I move up 2 on corruption, but then I can place 2 people out.
Right.
What do you think of those? I don't know if you got a whole bunch. Did you just get the one?
I got 3 of them.
You had 3? Okay.
They weren't very high scoring ones. So one was I got a point for every wedge I had control of. Which when I was thinking, it's like, oh, that's way more powerful. But realistically, that's 5 points at most.
Yeah.
The other one was
Probably that's the more realistic one that came out, because I guarantee you this one, the translator, probably should have been 6 points
right,
at best.
because I had one, because I got this one for the endpoints of double ones, and then I got an outsider that was for every 3 get point. And I was like, okay, with these two, they're playing off of each other.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons why I just started stockpiling
That's
resources.
why I thought you were blowing me out of the water. I knew you had those resource ones, and I'm like, he's going to fucking murder me.
And so you have that. I do like them. I did not build an engine in any way to go and gather them. I never had, I had a lot of coins at the beginning of the game, and then I stopped because I kind of got to the point where it's like, I don't necessarily need to move very often. I have so many cards. So one of the things that the expansion definitely did is added more villagers to the decks.
Yeah.
And they added a lot more 2s and 3s.
Yeah.
And so my decks started becoming filled enough that, like, I have movement all the time. And then, you get another plus movement because I had all my buildings done halfway through the game.
Yeah. I was struggling with movement for a while.
Right.
Because I was still, my engine took a little bit to get off. It still wasn't as pristine as I wanted, because I didn't plan on going manuscripts.
Right.
With my starting hero, Clotilda, every time I play her, I get 2 King's Orders.
Right.
My plan was to do what I ended up doing at the end of the game, was play her, get 2 King's Orders, get them in my hand, play them, and then use resources to cycle it to the end.
Right.
And then just get a lot of visitors coming in. I only ended up with 4, 6. Yeah. Which is 12 coins.
Right. Which, again, so you have those things. I liked, honestly, the building, and that might be, was that Gates? Or the keep? Is it Gates or is it Keeps?
What?
Yeah.
The symmetrical, what were they? That was, Keepers. Yes,
Okay.
so we'll get. There was something else about building that.
Was it these buildings then for the?
No, that was also Keepers.
Okay.
It was the building bonus cards. The diversify. Oh no, you're right. Yeah,
Oh,
the diversified and specialized. Yeah.
So I like that. So basically, what happens is there are a deck of cards. One is build one of every type, get the card. The other one is build all 3 of the same type, get the card. Which, again, it's very similar to the manuscripts of the clerical ones, which is get 3 of the same ribbon, get the card.
Yeah.
I like that because it helps you set a goal outside of just, it's points.
It's points, yeah, and and because there's more of these,
Right.
You're gonna have a little bit different. Like, it's like, if I do one of each, because yours was, what was it? Each time you got
As long as I had purple, I had extra
you had an
hand
extra
limit.
hand. Yeah, what was your hand limit? 6? I think
6,
at some
yeah.
point you got to 6. Yeah.
At one point, I think I had 7.
Gross.
Yeah.
But I also had the one that was diversified.
Right.
Which was every time I got a hero or an outsider, I got 2 coins.
Right.
Which I was like, okay, great. Yeah, that's just a nice little add-on.
Right.
To where you just kind of have a more of an idea of, okay, what do I want to do with these buildings?
Yeah.
So with the manuscripts, you have this one that's just a little organizer, keeps it all tidy. You also start with one, so it kind of gives you, you and the other players have a leg up in a path. What they didn't do in either of these expansions, and it actually is frustrating, is they have no way of cycling manuscripts, and I wish they did. I think there's so many villagers that burning them, that's fine. I feel like if you want to cycle a manuscript, you should be able to pay a coin or pay something to put at the bottom at least once. At least with this ability. But it didn't give that to you. So sometimes if you're trying to build sets, or it's like, I'm not getting any yellow, then it's just kind of annoying. But yeah, so you can then use any resource as a coin.
Yep.
Pay 2 coins to draw a card, and then pay any 3 coins to shuffle these around.
Right.
And I used all of these at one point. I needed to move an extra spot. I had a gold I definitely wasn't going to contribute. Spent it, got a coin, used an extra spot. Needed to draw, that drew me into a King's Order. Great. And then I was able to play it and then pay 3 resources and put it at the end.
Yeah, you definitely used those abilities more than I did.
I tried, yeah.
I mean, so it was just a different style of game. I think it is interesting. I think you went more Gates of Gold. And I went much more on the keeper side.
Yeah, and it's funny enough because we didn't set this up before, but I was gonna ask, be like, hey, do you just want to do this expansion?
Right.
I'll do the other one, just so we can see how they both worked out, and that's just how it naturally went.
It naturally went that way.
So that's the manuscript board. That's really good. I love the Outsiders. I think that's awesome. And then the building bonus.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much Gates of Gold.
Very solid.
Very solid. King's Orders are very easy to get because if you don't like any of the villagers, you can pay 3 coins just to buy one.
Yep. Goes through discard like every other purchase card, so it's going to get shuffled in eventually.
Yeah, and we didn't see. There's actually some. There are doubles in here. There's another envoy that you had. There's another rogue.
Right.
There's a mercenary, so have the most in the middle. So there's enough in here. I like the fact that there are doubles.
Right.
Of certain ones, so it's not like, oh, lucky you.
Right.
That's pretty cool. We did get one that was a top deck that happened to be one for the 3 buildings I happen to have out.
That you had out, so you got 4 points from it. It's just...
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But there's another one for the
right
blacksmiths and then the towers.
Right.
But yeah, like, the Gates of Gold, I'd probably give an 8. 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
My favorite parts of Paladins is, well, maybe not my favorite part. Paladins is super solid, but because it is all encompassing, I will say it's very intriguing that some of these expansions, at least Gates of Gold specifically, is like, oh, here's something from Paladins, and threw it in this game. Where it's like Paladins feel like a more complete game.
Right.
And these expansions kind of like feel like it brings in more of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because at the end of Viscounts, it was the same type of scoring.
Right. But the expansion, if I remember right, for the expansion for Paladins, it kind of added like the hero element stuff to it.
It did also add the manuscripts kind of collection.
Right. And so it kind of took some from Viscounts.
Wait a minute. So Shem Phillips is just recycling ideas and putting them in different games.
I think he figured out like he just needs to combine all 3 games into one pure,
massive
giant
game. That would be cool. Like it's just called West Kingdom.
Yeah.
Like, and you have architects. You have you do deck building. You do all the worker placement, and then you have the different colored worker placement.
Right.
That would be wild. He makes it a legacy game while he's at it. This is whenever he's just doing fat lines of coke when he's coming up with his next Kickstarter. So Gates of Gold is an 8 out of 10 for you?
Yeah, probably.
All right. So next up, we got Keeper Keys. Let's have you talk about that because you did it way more. I think I touched it. You got way more heroes than I did.
Right.
And you had all 3 chests.
So, biggest things that added. So, one thing that I both like and kind of disliked in the base game was you got 1 hero. Now, you have ways to get tons and tons of heroes.
Yeah.
And I should say
literally
tons.
a hero deck.
There's a hero deck, and there are cards to now get more heroes. Again, we didn't cycle through a lot. I got a few more than you did, but I think I only ended up with like 3, maybe 4 of them total. The new ones do seem a little bit weaker than the original ones, which makes sense because, again, if you made everything else richer, you need to make some things a little bit poorer on it. But you can get more of them. Mm-hmm. The next thing I actually really did like, it's a little more situational, it's a little bit more, you have to plan for it on what your card build does, but it's these chests. And so there's 3 options for them. They sit underneath your cards.
Mm-hmm. For the record, real quick, sorry to interrupt, but the Keeper of Keys actually gives you these...
the boards?
The cardboard boards.
Nice.
Yeah, so that specifically came from that expansion. And
that's really nice. These boards are better because one of the things that the other one is, these just sit on top, and so they can move. There's now a cutout for it, so I like that. I would almost just get this just for this and play the base game with it.
It's like getting Turmoil for Terraform Mars to get the dual layer boards.
Right. But, so what these chests do, which is kind of a really cool idea, is, let's say, I don't really need the card above it, but it's a hammer. Well, if a hammer spot is in this spot, it's also considered to be 3 bags. Okay, so now I have a choice of, do I use this hammer at this point, or do I go use something to get tons of, something for bags? Because, like, you go to a coin spot, that's just 3 coins right there for one character. Yeah. And now that character's in essence dual played. But you have that as 3 different options. So as you keep going down, like this one is the lightning. So as soon as I had 2 bags, I got inkwell.
Yeah.
So every time any character had 2 bags that passed over, inkwell.
Yep.
Hammer again for a fleur-de-lis and a crucifix. So
yeah.
So I mean, so they're really good. They're a little bit more situational. They're a little bit more planning. So
but you're not stuck with them.
But you're not stuck with them because you can always change them out.
Yep.
So you might choose one, and as your deck changes over time, you'll remove it to clean up another one.
Yep. And
It's
one of
super
the
great.
and one of the new cards that starts in your deck when you play with that expansion allows you to either flip a deed or debt or get a chest. Yeah. And it was actually really interesting because you had the 3. I just had the 1, which once again fed into my manuscript because it was every time I played a skull or criminal, I got an inkwell.
Right.
And then, well, that skull counts as as anything. So I was like, oh, okay. So now just by that alone, I have 1, 2, and then that one's open, so that's 3, and I have the 1 thing, so that's 4. So any 4s I go to, I can just get with 1 card play and 1 chest.
Right.
I never diversified with that.
Right.
Because I was like, I'm just gonna keep doing my manuscript and just see how it works.
Right. So that's the biggest. I mean, so those are the 2 things that really added. I think it added also the location decks. So one of the things
the
that
starting
is
ones.
One thing that is interesting about base game Viscounts is you always start at the top of the row. Mm-hmm. Well, now you have cards that have 0.5s. So they literally are, like if it's 3.5, it's you start down here.
Yeah, you start in the inner
row. And that is kind of cool. Like,
I really like that. Yeah. Because I mean, it's just more variability when you're doing setup. The hero cards that I had. So I had my starting one gave me 2 King's Orders, and it's like I didn't even really, when we were setting it up, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go balls to the wall, dive into these expansions.
Right.
The other one I had was Judith, and this was also working out. Was either destroy a card, which worked out in my favor if I had a King's Order, because I had no way of actually going out and doing it.
Right.
Or flip a deed or a debt. And then the other one was I ended up getting, or I had to get rid of her because some of them are one-time use.
Yep, sometimes one-time use.
Yeah, so this one, Delphine, was once she comes off, she gets removed, and I get a free 3 or 4 cost manuscript.
Right.
So I think the heroes are really cool. What Keeper of Keys did is it opened up. So you remember how you were saying you're starved for resources, or you're starved, like you kind of pick a lane and that's what you do. Keeper of Keys is like, nah, not anymore.
So to me, both of them just opened up the floodgates for resources at some point. The other things it did was it made these public buildings, which you could build to replace one of your buildings of that type, and it gave you a power. So it gave you an instantaneous, like, get a chest, flip a deed, take a hero. But then, and these never change, it gives you a permanent skull. So you always have a skull for yourself. Mm-hmm. If you get a new hero or a hero dies, flip a deeds. If there's a collision at all,
you ignore
a skull and draw a card.
Yeah. You had all 3 of those.
Because I was at the point where, like what you were doing with manuscripts, I had with hammers.
You were doing, I was actually going to get, at the beginning of the game, I don't remember what these ones were called. The one on the far left. I was planning on getting one of them. Right. But it just wasn't in the cards, I guess.
Right. And so
I wish there were more of those.
I wish there was more variety.
Yeah, like maybe like 3 of each or something, just to be like, oh yeah, okay. But then again, they're fine.
They're fine.
Like, chances are, they might not all get built. At least definitely not by the same person, unless that's
definitely not by the same person. And one of the things that can happen is, so this only takes 2 hammers to build after you built one that costs you 3 hammers. It goes back to your board. That's true. But I can quickly get this out, and basically I'm sacrificing 2 points for 7 points.
True.
And then eventually I could theoretically build that again, but I don't
Sure.
have to.
Yeah.
So if I've got my use
What
out
is
of
it,
a
a
building,
5-point swing?
it's a 5-point swing. Where like this one's actually a little bit better. It's a 9-point swing.
Yeah.
But I do consider these are, I mean, it's 7 to rebuild it versus 6. And these are pretty powerful because they're your upper action.
Yeah, they're your extra icon.
Right. So, again, I can see it. You either could go for this very early, saying, hey, I'm going to sacrifice for this.
I mean, it gives you a skull, which is always a wild.
It's always a wild.
So, yeah. Those are kind of, those to me still kind of feel like,
Win more.
Yeah, like the versus the diversified or standard, those felt a little bit more thought provoking in terms of your buildings. Those were kind of like, all right, again, if they had 3 of each type, then it would matter a little bit more on kind of like, ooh, well, which one do I want to get? Do I want to upgrade?
So I had 2 base game heroes and then 2 of the key heroes. So one of them literally was draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards.
Yeah.
And you don't have to discard the 2 cards. You just have the choice.
Yeah.
The other one was shuffle your deck, or shuffle your discard pile, draw a card, and get a coin.
How many cards did you have in your deck by the end of the game?
I
had 13. I cycled out. I had 6.
19.
You had 19. Okay.
19
Well, funny enough, actually, I cycled 6, so I would have had 19 by the end of the...
I cycled 2, though.
Okay, so still, we had relatively thin deck. I just kind of, I burned more of these cards because I was trying to get my King's Orders through. What both of these expansions did... Keeper of Keys! What both these expansions did, though, especially together, was fatten your deck.
Yep.
And whereas I kind of have always attributed this as a light deck builder.
Yeah.
Deck builders I really like unless your deck becomes a fucking commander deck.
Right.
And you're like, well, I'm never seeing any of the cards.
Right.
And that did kind of start to hurt when at the beginning before I started thinning out. But it's like, and you were talking about how, I mean, you have 19 cards, like, you have one chance to get a good, good play, and then you're like, oh, I'm not seeing this anytime soon.
Right. I mean, my advantage was my hand limit was crazy high.
I think that's why they did that, though. I think because if you do play them together, you're adding in more heroes, you're adding in more cards, and you're adding in the outsiders that are all funneling into your deck. So they gave you, 2 coins to draw a card, multiple increased hand size. So I don't know if, because you had like 5 to 7 hand size. I never went above 3.
Right.
I kept it at 3. And occasionally I use 2 coins to draw a card.
Right.
So with that, I'm very curious. Did you feel like your deck was still a burden?
On a more regular basis, I did.
Okay.
I still felt like it was a lot of effort to try to thin out a deck. I know there were more cards to thin out, and like spots that I would almost never have gone in base game, like destroy cards for 3, became more valuable, but still feels like a waste of a turn to thin out a deck. And that might be because of just coming back from normal base. I was not really planning on like, wow, this is really fattening up. But like, I didn't buy villagers all that often.
No.
And that's pretty much what you do is you buy a couple of premium villagers,
and we never had to burn them because we had all the resources or icons that we needed.
Right.
So, yeah, definitely having both of those as options kind of made these obsolete
because they're better.
They are better, yeah.
And so you just push to get those into your deck faster, and then at that point, so basically I added 6 of those cards to my starting deck.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
and that wasn't
8,
even my strategy.
9. Yeah, that's true. 9, 10. I added 10 of both, like both of those combined to my starting deck.
And that was your strategy.
Was my strategy.
Right.
And so then I actually ended up getting rid of a lot of 4 of my regulars were out the window. So and they also, like, the trader is upgraded with the Keeper of Keys because it's like, every time you do a bag option, you can discard a card and gain money.
Right.
So they really wanted you to start discarding cards so you can
Right.
go through your deck, which I do appreciate. I like the fact that they thought of that, because if you still had the same options of getting rid of cards, you'd probably never discard.
Right.
You'd never run out of your deck.
Right.
But yeah,
Yep.
I think the chests are really cool. It does balance well
Right.
in terms of, okay, I'm drawing a lot, but that means you're not as burned by what you're getting in your hand, especially if
Right.
you have chests, because you're like, God, another fucking fleur-de-lis. Oh, wait a minute. I have this chest.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and put that down, and now it's 3 bags, and now
Right.
I can go over here and get inkwells.
Right. So, it adds more. If you definitely play with both, you won't feel starved.
Yeah.
In any way, shape, or
If you
form.
just basically, if you set it up with both, and then just say what you want to do and just do it. Don't even play the game. Just be like,
Right.
hey, I want to put people down. Okay, you can.
I mean, so if I had played
I want all
again
of
with
these.
both, I would probably cut these by half.
Yeah.
Just to make it where it's actually a viable
But
game.
what would be annoying about that, though, is if that was someone's strategy, then they'd burn through it super quick and the game would be over. And it's like, I didn't even get to do anything.
Right.
Yeah, I really wish they could have done it one of two ways. They could have said, let me just double check if it's in here before
Or
I say anything.
and keys.
No. It no. Okay. Just double checking, but it does not say in either of these rule books, hey, we recommend you don't combine these, because some games like Steam Watchers did that, or they're like a lot of the games are like, hey, we don't recommend you do it with this expansion or this module. These did not say that.
Right.
So it's like, hey, don't do it with both. If you are going to do it, then have an alternate endgame condition.
Right.
Because
Whether
so
it's
many
the-
times I was sitting there, even whenever you were drawing debts or deeds, I was like, when does the game end again?
Yeah.
Like, is there a third option? Like, you run out of people or something? Nope. It's the same, and it was
Brutal.
It was pretty rough.
It was pretty
It
rough.
was definitely, it was wearing on me.
Yeah.
But we definitely got to get a feel for what both of the expansions are. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give Keeper of Keys?
Probably still an 8.
Still an 8?
Yeah.
I'm a little less. I think it's a 7. It's still really good. Maybe it could be because I didn't touch it as much, or it wasn't as apparent as how useful they were. I do like the fact that you get unique heroes.
Right.
I think that's really cool. And how many... Did you just have the one person in your deck that gave you a lock? Or did you have more than one?
No, just one.
Just the one? Okay. And that's the other thing, is there are more heroes, like even this one right here, Ivan. He has one where it's like, he's a one-time use, you get a King's Order card. Oh, this is actually a promo. Or maybe it's for both or something. But then you also get a chest. But there are ways that allow you to get more chests.
Right.
That could be viable. And they're worth 9 points if you have
Right.
a set of 3 at the end. But honestly, both of these, like, I would play with one or the other at any given time.
Yeah.
Like, alternate. Be like, oh, do I want a more loose game? Then you do Keeper of Keys,
Right.
I think. Yeah. If you want better cards and more versatility with your icons, definitely get Keeper of Keys. And I think if you still want pure Viscounts, just with a different endgame condition,
Right.
then Gates of Gold.
Right.
So it's apparent my favorite of the two is Gates of Gold. You gave both of them an 8. Which one would you pick up?
So
Probably Keeper Keys because of the cardboard board.
I was going to say, it's a bad reason, but Keeper Keys for the cardboard, honestly.
It's definitely, it's definitely a reason to grab that. Is the
improved board, honestly. Yeah. I mean, it adds good enough content for me. If I'm going to add an expansion, it's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But the board probably gives me the tipping point for
That's fair.
it.
Yeah, that is fair. Okay, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. That is both of these expansions. 8 for Gates of Gold for me, and that's 7 for Keeper Keys. But both 8s from Zach for both of them. Definitely pick one or both of them up if. I mean, I would say just get both, then you just have a lot of ways to play Viscounts.
Right.
On the scale of 1 to 10, what is Viscounts for you?
Viscounts is a 9.
Is a 9.
At least.
Yeah.
If not 10.
Yeah, I know way
be
back
a
when it
10.
came out, it was it's a 10 out of 10. With both of them, it does drop to a 9. But obviously, I won't play with both of them again, so I think it would stay at a 10.
I think it stays at a 10 for me, too. It's in my collection.
You like this one better than Paladins?
Nope. Paladins
Oh, you do like Paladins better?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Paladins beats out Viscounts. Viscounts beats out Architects.
Okay.
And Architects is probably a 9 for me in those groupings. Paladins is a solid 10.
Yeah.
Hardcore 10.
Yeah, with both Paladins expansion, which you can check out our review of that one.
Yep.
There's just the one.
There was just
So I was
one.
very surprised. I think another one is coming out.
Yep. Yep.
And then, so this one came out with both back to back.
Right.
And with both expansions and the expansion for Paladins, I really like the Paladins expansion. I think it still kept it pretty tight with giving you more options, but it wasn't like I got fucked over by these in cards, so I can't do anything. Yeah, I think Viscounts is still going to be a 10. And I do put this one over Paladins, but it's like 6 of 1, you know? Sure. Like, at any given point, I'd play either.
Right, and that's what I found when I've talked to most people who like the West Kingdom series. Viscounts or Paladins edge each other out, just depending on the person.
Yeah.
Like, there's no rhyme or reason. Some people just like one more than the other. Mm-hmm. Almost everybody puts Architects below them.
I don't like Architects. I think the gimmick is really cool with all of its workers, but for me, it's always like you're just edging the whole time because no one's going to let you have an explosive turn.
Right.
So it's like, well, so you might as well just limit people on how many workers they can get. That's my own experience. That's why it's like, well, whatever. My people just keep getting arrested. You're not going to let me have 8 workers in that spot. So, and I can't do anything to ramp to then get it, and then you arrest them all. So it's like, whatever. In both of these, Viscounts with the expansions and Paladins, it's like, there's not really a whole lot you can do to fuck with me.
Nope.
Except take the end card I want, or the manuscript, which there were a couple times that you went in and I'm like, yeah, that's a perfect one for me. And he went there and got it, damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's that. And that's just that's fine with me. So, yeah. All right. You got anything else on both these?
Nope.
Okay. Well, that is our thoughts on Gates of Gold and Keeper of Keys. Let us know what you think of both these expansions in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.